guys, so today I'm going to be showing you how to wash your makeup brushes. And as you can tell, I do have quite a few. I usually try to wash them 1 to 2 times a week, but if you're a little bit busier than I am, I only wash them 1 time a week. As you can tell, they do get quite a bit of buildup on them. I don't wear makeup too often, occasionally throughout the week, but mostly on the weekends. So you will need a few things. I just used the Dawn antibacterial dish soap, and then also I use a regular mug or cup or bowl. Sometimes I'll use a bowl, just whatever you prefer to use. And then also like a hand towel or something to lay the brushes on to dry. So the first step for me is I grab the cup and I just put a little bit of soap inside and put warm or cold water, whatever you prefer. And this gives the brushes kind of like a little bit of a pre-soak. You don't want to put too much water in there, just enough for the brushes to be able to soak thoroughly, because this helps the cleaning process and it speeds it up a bit better. So this brush here is the brush that I use to apply a lot of my clay face masks. I just wanted to show you a before of how it looked like. So here I'm just putting a small drop of the dish soap, and then I'm going to rub it into the bristles of the brush, give it a little rinse, and it starts to get a little bit foamy, and that makes it easier to wash off whatever residue is on your makeup brush. So here I'm just using my hand to clean it off. I know that you can buy like those makeup brush pads and you stick them inside the sink. I did not have good experiences with those in the past, so I just opted out to just use my hand, and it works just as well. So always remember that a little goes a long way when it comes to the dish soap. So as soon as you apply it, you can just apply a small amount and it'll get really sudsy and foamy. And also make sure that you thoroughly rinse your brushes out, because there will sometimes still be a little bit of soap and foam left on the brushes. And just for anybody wondering what that blue stuff is inside of my sink, that is actually epoxy. And we were experimenting with it like a while ago, and a little bit got into the sink, and we just were never able to get it out. So I do have to buy chemicals to take that out, because that stuff really does stick. And as you can see, the process is the same for all the brushes. You will have some brushes that will have stains on them. You just can either go in a second time with the soap, which I do, If you can't get it out, that's okay too, because sometimes there will be spots on your brushes that you won't be able to get out, and that's perfectly fine. And this is the aftermath of what the water looks like after you let the brushes soak a little bit beforehand. And this here is one of my favorite foundation brushes. As you can tell, it does have a lot of buildup on it. For this specific brush, I did plug up the sink so that way you could see at the bottom all the residue and all the foundation that is coming off of the brush. Now this brush also did have a hard spot on the side that I wasn't able to get out the first time, so I just gave it a good rinse, and then I added more soap and gave it another scrub. And usually that is the case for most of these brushes. It usually does tend to work. As you can see when I squeeze it out, that's the leftover that was stuck on there. You can just repeat this as many times as needed. So for this part, I did wash the stem of the brush. Now, usually it's okay to get it wet when you are washing your brushes because it's going to be hard to not get it wet. Just make sure not to drench them in water, because once you drench them, the glue on the inside of the brush does start to get a little bit broken down, and it will eventually break the handle of your brush off. So this brush here is one of my powder brushes that I use. You cannot see anything on this one, but there is stuff on there, so just beware and make sure to also wash your powder brushes, because they do also tend to have a lot of buildup as well. So here I'm just showing you the cup of what it looked like after the pre-soak. That's how the water came out. It was pretty gross. So here I'm just putting more soap into the cup, and this is when I'm gonna put the beauty blenders in the cup. Make sure to get them wet before you put them into the cup with the soap, because that makes them expand, and when they're expanded out, it just helps get the gunk out a bit easier. So the process is the same for the other beauty blender. You can do this for however many times is needed. So once they're both pretty soaked, you just let it sit for a few minutes and then you can begin the cleaning process. So for here, I just put a dab of the soap where it's necessary. I usually put it exactly where the buildup is on my sponge. You can do it whatever way you want. It just makes it a bit easier for me to scrub all of the foundation and just whatever is on my beauty blenders. So for this part, you want to be very gentle when you're rubbing in the soap because you don't want to tear your beauty blender or make a hole, because once you do that, it'll start to tear up the whole thing and then you'll just probably eventually have to throw it away. So just be aware and careful that you need to do it very gentle, and on the spots where I see that it's really complicated to get it out, I'll just give it like a little bit of a squeeze and that'll help get out some of the foundation. So for here, you are gonna have to rinse it a good amount of times. I rinse it a few times after I dry it off because it does still have soap inside. So just a fair warning that there will be a lot of suds still left on it, but that's perfectly fine. And once you air dry it, it won't even affect your makeup in any type of way. And as you can see, there are a few dark spots on the sponge. Those are just from where the water, I guess, built up inside of the sponge. So just don't even like stress that. Just make sure to give it like a good squeeze whenever you're done rinsing them off. So right there, I did notice that there was a spot on there that wasn't able to come out the first time. So I just went in again with the soap, gave it a little rinse, and then just gave it like a little bit of an extra scrub. And then I also did squeeze it multiple times in that one spot. And as you also, another tip I forgot to mention, in the past I used to use, I think they said extra virgin olive oil. You can use that on your brushes so that way when they get off from drying, they're not all like stiff and stuff. But I just ended up like not using that as a whole, but you're more than welcome to use that if you'd like. And there you have it. Your brushes are clean and they look just as good as they did when you first bought them. They're looking brand new, they're fresh for your next makeup session. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a very simple process. It takes a little bit of a time to do it, but I mean, in the end, it's well worth it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And here's the end results. And thank you very much for tuning in. Love you. Bye.